I'm really delighted to be here today, actually. As John mentioned, I work with software companies and I work with IT-based professional service companies and help them with their growth strategies. And most of the work that we do is in the B2B space. And through that process, I run into many organizations that are involved with SaaS. I also chair the Cloud Computing Peer Group at the York Technology Alliance and run into a lot of organizations that are involved with SaaS there as well. So my comments today are really going to be focused on the business side of that, and I hope I can give you a couple ideas that you can take away from this talk today to help you grow your business. I wanted to share with you a few metrics first with respect to the market opportunity that's there in terms of specifically SaaS. So this is US-based data from a couple of years ago done by IDC, and in my experience the Canadian market is generally about 3 years behind the US market, so the numbers you see here are probably very relevant for the Canadian market today. So, 82% of US organizations use at least one SaaS-based service, and almost 80% of them are going to source at least a quarter of all of their applications via SaaS over the next 24 months. So very, very significant. And if you look at the pie chart over there, whether they're fully committed to SaaS or partially committed to SaaS, the real point is that only 2% of organizations have no plans to use SaaS at all. So the vast majority of organizations have significant investments and are planning to use SaaS. So the market opportunity is definitely there. Some more statistics from IDC, again, from the same study. And this is cloud-based, not necessarily SaaS, but you'll see that SaaS comprises one of the largest portions of all the various components of cloud-based solutions that are out there. So 90% of new products that software companies are launching are going to be cloud-based. And over 70% of new products from existing ISVs are cloud-based as well. So again, it just reiterates the fact about the market opportunity that's there in front of you as you're building your SaaS business. Here's some Canadian data. So I talked about US data. There's an organization called Cloudfinger. So you may want to check it out. It's cloudfinger.ca. And this is they've done a really good job over the last, started about 4 or 5 months ago. It's starting to catalog the cloud environment specifically in Canada. I'd say they're probably maybe 25% of the way done or 30% of the way done through cataloging the Canadian cloud-based companies. And as you can see, the SaaS-based companies in Canada are the greatest market. The real opportunity for you folks over here is if, go check out their website. But if you've got a software company or thinking about starting a software company, you probably want to get yourself listed so that you get some more visibility in the market. And they've done a good job of categorizing it in a bunch of different ways. And there's various vertical market overlays and subcategories and so on. But I just wanted to bring your attention to cloudfinger.ca. So if you hadn't heard about it, check it out. It may help you with your business. So there's the market opportunity. From a software company perspective, why do you want to do this? So there's an opportunity there. Probably the biggest thing, though, in terms of your business is it gives you the opportunity by providing a SaaS-based solution to reach new customers. I have a client that's in the construction project business, and they've been in the business for 15 years and have been providing the solution to mid to large size construction companies to run their construction business. And they recognize an opportunity in the small enterprise space. So they said, well, our existing solution isn't going to meet the requirements. Why don't we go to market with a cloud-based SaaS offering to meet that requirement? They developed a whole new application, had a whole new sales model to it, different training, and went to market with that. And it was really interesting. They launched at the end of 2011. 2012, they got 10 new customers. Took them a while to sort of iron out the kinks. And the first quarter of 2013, they got 13 new customers just in the first quarter in that small market space, and their pipeline is robust and healthy. So they use SaaS as a mechanism to reach a whole new market segment. My core premise in my talk today is that the business side, as much as you need to have the right solution to go to market with, but the business considerations in growing your business, to grow a SaaS business, can oftentimes be harder than actually building the solution in the first place. So, the reason I have that picture of a mousetrap there is, you can build a mousetrap, but marketing the mousetrap is often harder than building the mousetrap. And the things you need to consider as you're taking your solution to market, first of all, where are you going to get your money from? How are you going to go about getting your money? I know of an organization where the CEO of this company, they bootstrapped the thing to get started, and they raised a couple of $100,000 themselves, and their business started to have some success. They're a SaaS-based company in the SEO space. And then they realized that they needed more money because their business was growing and they needed more money to fund their operations. Where the CEO of this company, she spent, I'd say 6 to 9 months, probably more than 50% of her time over 6 to 9 months to go ahead and raise more money. And she raised $3 million at the end of it, but the impact to her business was significant because all of a sudden that took her away from the business, and her partner had to take on more and more of the work that was involved in doing that. So you need to think about how you're going about raising the money, who's going to do it, and how much time it's going to take you to do that. We also talk about strategic planning and thinking through the various issues around that. One of the things, a lot of people think about the org structure and competition and so on. One of the things that I find many entrepreneurs do not think enough about are the legal considerations that are involved when you're setting up your business. I know of a company that's, as a matter of fact, one of my clients, that is a software as a service organization in the music industry. And they raised some money with friends and families to get them started, didn't have any of the paperwork in place. And as they started to grow their business, they needed some more money and they had an opportunity to merge with somebody else. Well, it turns out that they ended up having some sour relationships with friends and family, and they ended up having some family disputes. And all of a sudden, they didn't have the capital structure in place, they didn't have the shareholders agreement in place, they didn't have the ownership of the intellectual property all sorted out, who actually owns the software, and they had to shut down the business and get started all over again because they didn't have that piece in place. So as you're getting your business going, that's really something that you want to think about, is getting that paperwork in place and formalizing it. Pricing is another key thing that many organizations need to think about. One of the biggest things is, what's your revenue per unit? And what I mean is dollars per what. So let's assume you're in a subscription model. One of my clients is in the retail space, and they provide software for multi-location retailers that do design and build. So if you're building out hundreds of stores or remodeling hundreds of stores, their software allows them to facilitate that process and do it more efficiently. They were in business for a few years, and they had a few large clients, and their pricing was very standardized. It wasn't very standardized, it was very customized for their few large clients. I started working with them because they wanted some help around scaling out their business. In order to do that, to go after new customers, we needed a more strategic pricing model and a more standardized pricing model. Well, we really struggled with, well, what do you price it by? It's dollars per what? Dollars per store, dollars per new store, dollars per customer. Is it dollars per user? What's your denominator for the dollars? And how you do that has some very strategic implications in the type of market you go after and how you go about doing this. So it may sound trivial, but I can tell you it's not that easy to figure out what your revenue per unit framework is. And the pricing thing impacts your entire business model. So for example, if you decide that you want to go after a low-priced, high-volume type offering, and that's how you want to price your business, well, that affects how much money you can afford to spend to acquire new customers. That affects how much money you can spend to pay your sales organization. That affects how much money you can spend to train people, how much money you can invest in the business for supporting it. So your business model structure is very different compared to if you had a pricing model that said, I want to go after larger customers with high volume, with high dollar values per transaction, in which case your business model structure would be very different. So it really does affect your entire business model based on how you decide to go and price it. When you think about sales and getting that going, there's a lot of things around, should I have a sales organization, a telesales organization? I talk to lots of entrepreneurs that say, gee, I really don't want to have a dedicated sales organization because it's really expensive, and I'm just going to go with a channel strategy. But I have a current client actually that's Rini talked about the infrastructure as a service space. So they've got some innovative technology to make data centers more efficient and scale data centers. And they're building the software to allow them to go after the private cloud marketplace and the public cloud marketplace, where their software is pretty innovative. And I started working with them. We realized that going after a channel strategy was the wrong solution for them, because they didn't have their first set of reference customers, they didn't have their sales playbook all figured out, They didn't know how to go about getting customers in a standardized manner. And until you can figure that out, how you go after customers in a standardized manner, you're not going to get a channel to do that selling for you. So they needed to put their channel strategies on hold for 6 to 9 months until they got their program in place and get their own house in order and get what I call their sales playbook in order before they could go after a channel. So that's really something you need to think about when you're thinking about your channel strategy. You know, a couple of points on marketing that I wanted to raise. One is, you know, everyone says, or I shouldn't say everyone, but a few organizations that I talk to say my product is so wonderful, you know, the leads will just come in and it's going to go viral. And I can tell you that is not going to happen with respect to generating leads. It takes work to generating leads. But one of the other things I wanted to raise was on the product side, on the product partnering side. The same organization that I was telling you about that goes after multi-location retailers. So you know how I said that they have a solution that worked with large organizations. Well, they realize, and you see many companies that are in the SaaS world, they take their solution and partner with another company to bundle their solution together to come with a whole solution to the market. So they didn't have an analytics solution. And so they said, well, instead of building out our own analytics solution, what we're going to do is we're going to go partner with somebody and embed that company's application into ours and go to market and have their reporting solution embedded in ours, so we're going to have a reporting solution. Well, it turned out that while my client's solution scaled dramatically and scaled well because they were going after large customers, the analytics application that they had embedded into theirs really wasn't very scalable at all, and they had all kinds of issues around deployment when they went to deploy the solutions into their clients. You really need to think about how you're going to partner, who you're going to partner with, and make sure the products are in fact compatible. And then the final component that you need to think about from a business considerations perspective is services. So, you know, we've talked about SLAs and agreements and so on, but one of the big things is, you know, how much of your business should be in services? If you're a SaaS-based company, how much of your business should be in services at all? I know of this organization, they're about a 20-person company, a SaaS-based company. They provide content management solutions for agencies and media companies. And of the 20 people, about 5 people were in the services business, and they derived revenue from, you know, deploying their solutions. Well, their CEO decided that, well, you know, that really isn't that profitable for us to do that. And he said instead of, is that John telling me my time's up? Or and he said that instead of doing the services ourselves, and they'd been in business for a while, so they had an existing channel, they said, we're just going to give our services business to our channel and let them do it. So he forego a whole bunch of revenue that he was getting to rebuild his business model. It took him a year to recoup that revenue that he was giving away, but a year into that now, a year after that process now, he's recovered all that money, he's made up all the money that he was getting on services in a recurring revenue stream, and as a result of that, his business is more profitable and the valuation of his business is much higher because, as you know, recurring monthly revenue is valued at a much higher multiple than the services side. So that's something that you really need to think about as you're building your SaaS business, is the services piece. So finally, I just want to let you know that I think with the market opportunity, the timing to launch and grow a SaaS business has never been better. You need to obviously plan and execute, which is hard to do both simultaneously, but there's lots of help available. There's some wonderful resources available right here with the RIC Center. There's the Mars District downtown that has resources. There's the government provides some resources. There's organizations like myself that can help you. So take advantage of all the help that's available out there, because we really do need you to be successful. The growth of our economy, you're the engine of the growth of our economy, and we really need you to be successful, and I really wish you all the best of luck in your endeavors to grow your business. Thank you.